Laughter was already in the air when the engine cut through it. Crystal glasses clinked beneath the white reception tent. A woman in pearls turned too quickly, sloshing champagne over the rim of her flute as the low hum of a tractor rolled in behind the flower-draped arch. Is the landscaping crew really driving through the aisle right now? A man in a navy tux called out, loud enough for 3 tables to hear. A ripple of amusement followed. Somebody tell him the help entrance is around back. Another added, not bothering to lower his voice. The tractor eased to a stop on the gravel. The driver stepped down, boots dusty but polished, jacket simple yet tailored, hands steady as he removed his gloves. He didn't rush. He didn't explain. The bride's family shifted in their seats. A phone lifted, camera pointed. The laughter lingered. An hour earlier, no one in that tent knew the real reason he was there. That morning, the estate had been quiet. 600 acres of rolling Georgia land stretched beneath a pale blue sky, the vineyards trimmed neat as stitching. Restored oak barns stood where collapsing structures once leaned. White fencing traced the hills. 10 years ago, the property had been bankrupt, its gates chained, its fields overgrown. Now it hosted weddings that called themselves heritage luxury, a phrase printed in gold script across glossy brochures. Most guests assumed the wealth was old, inherited, passed down through portraits and silver tea sets. It wasn't Marcus Hill grew up 20 miles from those gates, the son of a mechanic who fixed engines behind a cinderblock garage. He bought the estate at auction when no one else wanted it. Quietly. No investors, no press, just risk and debt and long days. He rebuilt it board by board, vine by vine. Staff knew him as precise, hands-on, the kind of owner who checked irrigation lines himself before a ceremony. The bride knew exactly who he was marrying. Her family did too. The guest list did not. Wealth wrapped in denim rarely looks convincing to people dressed in tuxedos. The present rushed back in with the scrape of dress shoes on gravel. One of the groomsmen, tall, flushed from champagne, stepped directly into Marcus's path as he moved toward the irrigation panel near the arch. "Buddy, can you not park that thing where people are taking photos?" he said, gesturing at the tractor like it was an inconvenience someone had forgotten to hide. A few men behind him chuckled. "They'll hire anybody these days," someone whispered, not quietly enough. A woman fanned the air in front of her face. "Is that Diesel?" Nearby, a photographer slowly lowered her camera, unsure whether to document the moment or pretend it wasn't happening. A server froze mid-step, tray trembling just slightly. At the front row, the bride's jaw tightened, but she didn't move. Marcus met the groomsman's eyes. "I'll be done in a moment," he said, no edge, no apology, just steady. The calmness unsettled them. It gave them nothing to push against. And they mistook patience for submission. The tone shifted from teasing to performance. A man near the bar lifted his voice so it carried clean across the front rows. "Make sure he doesn't scratch the marble steps," he called out. That probably cost more than his truck. This time the laughter came louder, less nervous, more certain of itself. Across the aisle, a phone tilted upward. The red recording light blinked on. Someone wanted a clip to send later. The groomsman folded his arms. "Do you at least have permission to be up here?" he asked, stretching the words just enough to draw another ripple of amusement. Silence began spreading table by table. Conversations thinned. Forks paused mid-air. Marcus wiped his hands slowly with a folded cloth, dust falling in small gray streaks against the white gravel. He looked once toward the event coordinator near the tent entrance. She had gone pale. He said, "Nothing." And then someone made the mistake of asking the one question they shouldn't have. From the second row, a voice cut in, sharper now. "Who exactly do you work for?" Marcus paused. A breeze slipped through the archway, stirring the white ribbons, so they whispered against the wooden posts. Ice cracked softly inside neglected glasses. The groomsman's smile held, but his fingers twitched against his sleeve, a faint tremor he didn't seem to notice. Marcus looked at the man who'd asked. "I work for the owner," he said evenly. That earned another round of laughter, looser this time, relieved at the simplicity of it. "Oh, good," someone replied. "Then call him." A few heads nodded. "Yes, let's clear this up." Marcus slid his gloves off one finger at a time, folding them neatly in his palm. Gravel shifted under his boot as he adjusted his stance. "No need," he said. He reached into the inside pocket of his jacket. He didn't rush. The laughter stopped first. Marcus drew out a slim leather folder, the kind worn soft at the corners from years of handling. He opened it without flourish and removed a single document, thick paper stamped with an embossed county seal. He stepped toward the loudest guest and placed it in his hands. "I'm Marcus Hill," he said, voice steady, almost conversational. "I purchased this estate in 2016. The man's smile faltered as his eyes scanned the title. The seal caught the light. Silence settled across the chairs and linen tables. Even the glasses seemed to stop clinking. Marcus didn't raise his voice. "I approve this wedding," he added, personally. From behind him, the event coordinator found her footing and stepped forward. "Yes, sir," she said quietly. That was all. No accusation. Just the truth, standing upright where laughter had been. And for the first time that afternoon, nobody laughed. Color drained from the groomsman's face in uneven patches, red giving way to gray. His mouth opened, then closed again, as if the right sentence might still save him. Across the aisle, a phone lowered slowly, the recording light disappearing with a quiet tap of the screen. "We didn't know," someone muttered, too soft to claim, too loud to ignore. Marcus gave a small nod. "I'm aware." The bride rose from her seat without looking at anyone else. The hem of her dress brushed the gravel as she crossed the distance between them. She slipped her hand into his, steady and sure. Behind him, the tractor sat idling. Ahead, the arch waited, draped in white, and in between, rows of guests remained frozen in their seats, caught inside the space they had just filled with laughter. A few voices tried apologies, half-formed and hurried. Marcus didn't shame them. He also didn't soften it. But the consequences didn't end with embarrassment. Marcus didn't raise his voice. He simply asked the wedding planner and his venue director to step inside the main house once the ceremony concluded. The conversation was brief, controlled. Staff members, still shaken, shared the videos they had recorded when the laughter began. Angles from 3 different phones told the same story. Within 48 hours, the clip had moved far beyond the guest list. The groomsman's employer, a well-known regional law firm, received the footage Monday morning. By Tuesday afternoon, the firm released a statement condemning the remarks and announcing an internal review into conduct unbecoming of their standards. His bio disappeared from the company website before the week ended. 2 guests who had joined the mockery quietly stepped down from nonprofit boards after donors began asking questions. Marcus updated the estate's contracts immediately. A zero-tolerance harassment clause, mandatory conduct agreements for large events, clear authority for staff to pause any ceremony if abuse occurred. Local news covered the policy changes, framing them not as scandal, but reform. Marcus declined interviews, offering only a written line. "Dignity isn't seasonal, it applies to everyone on this property." Months later, the estate looked the same. But something had shifted. 6 months later, another wedding unfolded beneath the same white arch, different families, different accents. The vineyard stretched just as wide, heavy with late summer fruit. Staff moved with quiet confidence now, shoulders squared. Radios clipped at their belts like small assurances. Marcus walked the perimeter before guests arrived, checking the gravel path, adjusting a sprinkler head near the lower field. He still preferred doing it himself. A few early arrivals passed him on the drive. "Good afternoon," one woman said warmly. He nodded back. "Welcome." No one asked who he worked for. No one assumed by sunset the sky burned amber over the vineyard rows. The tractor rested near the barn. Dust settled along its tires. Beside it sat a polished black sedan, reflecting the fading light. 2 machines. Same hands behind both. The ceremony began on time. Laughter sounded different now, lighter, cleaner. Power didn't announce itself here. It simply stood where it belonged. And maybe that was the lesson all along. How often do we measure someone's worth by a jacket, a pair of boots, an accent we think we recognize? How quickly do we decide who belongs, and who must have wandered in from somewhere else? Dignity costs nothing to offer, and yet it's the first thing people with fragile power tend to withhold. Real authority rarely introduces itself. It doesn't shout across tables or perform for approval. It doesn't need applause. It waits, and when necessary, it corrects. Maybe you've seen a moment like that. Maybe you've lived one. Have you ever watched someone be underestimated because of how they looked? What would you have done if you'd been sitting in that chair? Share your thoughts below. And if stories like this matter to you, stay with us.